So, you guys ever had one of those days where you just got a headache all day long and you can't shake it? Yeah, it's been one of those days. You know, the kind of headache where head feels like it wants to explode. Why don't you tell me about your worst headache you've ever had down in the comments below. Let's get to it. What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to Voyage RC. Today we are going to be doing a review on the build portion of the unassembled kit, or the unassembled slash kit from Traxxas rather. I guess I gotta specify they do have more than one kit. But this was the unassembled slash kit. Just got it built, so kind of want to go over a few things with you guys and kind of talk about the highlights, the not so highlights, which is a very short list. But yeah, let's get to it. Hey guys, got a new merch store available with some hats, shirts, and other accessories. So if you want to pick up some cool swag and support the channel, go ahead and click that link in the description below. Alright guys, got the Slash here, just built it. You can ditch the body. Obviously I haven't painted it yet, but that's time consuming and I don't have the patience for that right now because, let's be honest, painting body, making it look good takes patience. But yeah, here's the kit all built up. Looks pretty familiar, doesn't it? It is a Traxxas Slash. Who'da thunk? But it is a Traxxas Slash that I got to build and I'm so excited for it. Yeah, build went really well. But you know, first things first, there's a little elephant in the room, isn't there? I think he's looking at me. Yeah, I told you guys in the unboxing, which if you haven't seen that yet, check it out. Or probably this side, I don't know. There's a cue card up here somewhere that says is a link to the unboxing video. So if you want to watch it, click it if you haven't already. But yeah, I told you guys I was gonna be putting out some videos on how to build it. Clearly I've already built it, but yeah, I was going through the footage that I did film, and it wasn't quite up to my standards, so I'm gonna figure something out. That way I can get the best videos out there for you guys. I want it to be as in-depth and as tutorial-like, how-to-ish for you guys, so if you guys had any questions during the build, I would hopefully answer them in the video. So those videos are coming, so stay tuned for those. Hit that subscribe button right now. Hit the little bell next to it, that way you get notified when the new videos are coming. But yeah, let's talk about how this build went. You know, this is, let's see, there was 3 previous kits from Traxxas. They got the Stampede 4x4, the 2 TRX4 kits, both the Sport and the just the standard crawler kit. Prior to this, and I have built one of them. I built the TRX4 kit, and that built very well. This built very well. Yeah, I don't have very many complaints for it. Everything went together really well. The directions were laid out very, very good. Now, obviously, this kit just came out, and so it is one of the first available shipments of it. That being said, there was an addendum to the manual, but that pretty much covered everything it needed to, and with the addendum in conjunction with the manual, everything went perfectly smooth as far as the instructions go. I do like the way they laid it out and the way kind of progressed with the build. A lot of vehicles, especially like the race kits, most kits out there which are typically race kits in kit form, you typically, you know, you go along and then you build the shocks like halfway through, you build the diff when you're doing the transmission, stuff like that. So one of the things I liked about this one in particular was that you built the diff and the shocks first. So you get those knocked out, you get them out of the way, and then they are just fully ready to put in the vehicle when the time comes. You don't have to get to that point. You get the vehicle halfway built and then you're building all this other stuff. Which it's not that big of a deal, but personally for me, I like getting those things knocked out right away. Just because they're I don't know, I would say some of the less fun things to do. Again, that's my personal opinion. But getting those knocked out right away just made it really nice and made the rest of the build flow smoothly. Got everything going, you know, everything's already built when you need it. So you just bolt the shocks on when you need them, you need front or rear, and then you bolt obviously you put the diff in the transmission at the appropriate time, which was one of the first things you do. So the transmission was kind of the next phase in doing the rear end. So the diff was ready to go, and just slap in there with your idler gear and your top shaft and a little bit of grease and you're all set. Let's see, that being said, the other nice thing is you didn't have to build your turnbuckles, you didn't have to thread the rod ends onto them. That's just one of the most annoying and time consuming things that I don't like doing in a kit, so having those ready to just bolt on made it really nice. And then the shocks, again, when you're doing the shocks were built, you just had to bleed them with oil. Obviously they're not going to bleed them and have them filled with oil from the factory, because they're just going to leak in the bag after the oil sits on the O-rings too long and swells them, and then they just start to leak, and then you got a big mess in the bag. So one of the things you got to do on your own, but doing that wasn't bad. These are a bladder shock, so they're really easy to bleed. It's one of the easier ones to do. You literally just put the bladder in there, get the excess oil out, and then screw the cap on, and you're pretty much done. It's a very easy system to do. Now, that being said, I have built a lot of shocks, so I have some experience, but bladder shocks versus, bleeder screw shocks, the bladder shocks are typically easier, and these ones bleed really easy. So that was nice. Going over the notes. Yeah, so the other nice thing about the kit is it comes with all the electronics, so you didn't have to source any of that yourself. You got your servo, your receiver, your radio system, obviously with the receiver, that'd be kind of important. And then you got your motor and speed control. The only thing this requires is battery and charger, and then paint for the clear body, which I'm pointing to off camera. Clear body. So you do get the freedom to paint it however you want. A lot of times, when you're buying a pre-built truck, you're kind of stuck with the color options available, which, especially in Traxxas's arena, they have a lot of variations to choose from, especially for the truck that comes with the battery and charger. There's a ton of body options out there as far as color wise and color scheme, but having the freedom to do it yourself obviously gives you your perfect choice for how you want it. But yeah, truck built really well. Now granted, I've had a lot of experience working on slashes and repairing them and all that jazz, so I kind of know this like the back of my hand, but following the instructions and going along with that, they're laid out, the instructions are actually laid out very, very well. So they're very easy to follow, and for the most part everything was bagged appropriately. All the screws you needed, all the bearings you needed for that particular step were in the right bag. Now that being said, couple downsides to the kits. Now this isn't going to happen to everyone. Obviously there was an addendum that was put in the box for the manual. That manual will in the future be revised, and then newer kits won't have the addendum in it. So that's just something that you kind of get with the first revision of the kits. Then the other thing was I did have a couple hardware issues, mainly screws. The screws for my upper front shock mounts, so the top mounting screws here on the front end for the shocks, were not in the appropriate bag. So I did the front end, kind of got that all buttoned up, and then I didn't have those screws in the bag. Now at that point I had actually cut filming, and I went out in the garage to my spare hardware, and I actually had those screws laying around, lucky for me. So I had them all buttoned up, then went back to the build, and in the next step where you're actually mounting everything to the chassis and getting everything all buttoned up, I had the screws in there. So they were just bagged improperly, so I had the screws, they were just in the wrong bag. So if that does happen to you, get the whole truck built. If it's something that can stand without a screw for that time being, that wasn't a very important thing to get on right at the right time, so it didn't really affect the build. It was just more of an annoyance. So obviously just try to finish the build if you can. If it's kind of a screw that's kind of important and needs to be done at that step, go ahead and contact Traxxas. I did send them an email, kind of took a break from the build, sent them an email, then continued the build and found the screws. But I did send them an email, and they did reply to me. And what they're gonna do, I'll try to leave a link down in the description. They sent me a link to register your vehicle. Now every chassis is gonna have number plates on here. That is actually the serial number for the kit. So they're gonna ask that when you register it. So just go ahead and get the kit registered. And then once you're registered with them, they can help you out and get all your customer service needs taken care of. Had I done that, I haven't registered this yet, which I will. Also, I'll use the link I'm gonna put in the description. I'll register it. That way, if I have any issues with the electronics or anything, I'm already in the system and it'll streamline the service. But they would have just sent me out the right screws. Traxxas is very good about their customer service, and that is one of the definite perks of buying a Traxxas vehicle. So had I gone through that process, they would have sent me the screws. I didn't need them, so I didn't go any further with the process. The other issue I had was another hardware issue. So your front bumper screws here that tie into the upper support brace. I actually had one screw that was longer than required. So one of them was the right size screw, one was longer. In this particular instance, if I get my head back on camera, hi. In this particular instance, it wasn't that big of a deal because going a little longer right there, it wasn't too long to where it was going to shoot out, so it was just a mil or 2 mil longer. So it didn't affect anything, so I just put that screw in there. It's not going to affect, any performance or any structural rigidity, if I could talk right now, of the vehicle. So if anything, a little longer screw there is probably a benefit.
That's what she said.
But yeah, that was the only thing. So one of the screws in the kit was wrong. Now again, for lack of repeating myself, this was a early revision of or an early release of the kit, not early release, but one of the first arrivals, first shipments. So there's bound to be a few issues here and there. Again, the later kits, they should have all the bugs worked out and everything like that. But again, you could contact Traxxas and they would hook you up with the right screws. They're very good about that kind of stuff. So that being said, that was really the only issues I had. Other than that, I've got nothing but good things to say about this kit. Everything fits the way it should. Everything goes together the way it should. The instructions were laid out very, very well. Nice color instruction manual, everything like that. So it's very easy to follow, easy to read, everything like that. Yeah, I think that's probably all I have to say on this. I'd say if you guys are contemplating doing the kit build, and you're looking for, first time kit builder, or you're just looking to get into a Slash and you want to build it yourself, this is definitely a good way to go. I think really the only downside is that it is a little bit more expensive than their pre-built truck of the same caliber. So they're no battery, no charger included. I can't talk today. No battery, no charger included Slash is $189.99. This kit here, which is essentially the same deal, except you have to build it, paint the body, but again, supply your own battery and charger, is $199.95. So $10 more for something that you have to build. I think that's kind of the biggest turnoff for a lot of people, is why do I have to pay more money when I got to build it? But I definitely think it's worth it to build it, especially if this is your first actual kit build. It's a fairly straightforward, fairly easy to follow build. So it would definitely be great for a beginner builder. Plus, building it yourself, when it comes time to repair a part that you break when you're driving it, you already know how it goes together. So bonus there. You already know how to work on it when it needs to be repaired. So that's going to make life easier in the long run. Plus you get the better BFG tires. So hey, maybe that's where the price difference is. Maybe the licensing fee for BF Goodrich. But yeah, this, nothing but good things to say about this. It went together very well. So that being said, let's put the body back on. This is essentially what it looks like when it's all done before you paint. So you get the nice clear body there, nice shiny tires and wheels because they're brand new and they haven't seen dirt yet. Ooh. But yeah, thanks for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already. Feel free to follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Yeah, as always, stay tuned for the next one.